All right, best backcourts. So this was floated around a lot this week. People were just like, Luka and Kyrie are the best backcourt of all time. And it's like, well, they played together 2 months last year and went backwards and missed the playoffs.
On purpose.
This year they were they were still below 500 the last 2 games. This year they were a 5 seed and then won a couple rounds. I just, as a protector of NBA history, I would just like to mention a couple people for you. Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. Not sure you've heard of those guys.
I've heard of them, here and there. Yeah.
4 titles, 6 finals together. Curry made 4 first team All-NBAs, 4 seconds, 2/3, won 2 MVPs. Klay made a 3rd team All-NBA. They're the greatest shooting backcourt of all time by any calculation. They were on teams that won 67 and 73 games in back-to-back years. I would say the bar is pretty high with those 2 guys. I'm not ready to just be like, hey, new guys, best backcourt ever. Like, let's be responsible, everybody out there. I think Curry and Klay have the belt. Unless you want to come back with me in the 1950s. I'm not sure you do. With the plumbers. The J.J. Redick plumber era.
Who do you got?
I have Bob Cousy and Bill Sharman.
Oh, yeah.
They won 4 titles and 5 finals, 4 titles before Sharman retired. Cousy made 10 straight first team All-NBAs. Not shabby. 2 second teams. Played 12 years. 10 straight first team All-NBAs. Sharman made 4 first teams and 3 second teams. They made the first team together in 56, 57, 58, 59, where they won 3 titles. So they were the first team guards. Out of all the guards in the league, they were the 2 first team guards. I'm going to say that's a pretty big bar to climb. And Sharman was like the first great 2 guard in NBA history. Cousy was the best point guard basically the first 15, 20 years of the league until Oscar Robertson started doing his thing. I don't know if you've done a lot of Cousy Sharman homework on your YouTubes. They're pretty good.
Not a ton. I do have respect for them, but I also have respect for the context of where they played. I mean, there are some asterisks there. I was curious. I mean, you hear people the one that some of these are just like, Goodrich and Jerry West is one that gets brought up over and over and over again. That's one that I don't have as much. And your book dive, did you get to dive on that one as much? Is that
I have a couple more. So they were 1 title, 2 finals. They had the 33 game winning streak in 72.
Mm-hmm.
The 72 team went 77-15. They averaged together 51.7 points a game. Pretty good. West was 10 first team All-NBAs, 2 seconds. He's a top 10 greatest player of all time. Probably 11th now that some people bumped in there. Goodrich was first team All-NBA in 73-74. He probably should have made at least second team in 72, but I think they didn't want to have 3 Lakers. But if you're talking about one season, which is basically all we have for Luka and Kyrie right now, they're at least in that ballpark. Sam Jones and Casey Jones were really good together. 2 Hall of Famers. They won 8 straight titles together. Isaiah and Dumars, I think, have to be mentioned.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. I think, do they get bonus points, you think, because that team is like one of the only like point guard? Like, do you think the backcourt sort of lean of that whole team, do they get bonus points for that, considering their run that they had there at the end of the 80s? Like, I know maybe they don't have as many titles when you compare them to like the Celtics era guys, just because the league was so different. But I just kind of wonder if they get a little extra boost because of that, because of the way the team was built.
Yeah, 2 titles, 3 finals in a row. Also, probably should have made the 87 finals. They couldn't have come any closer. The Celtics held them off. They were the 2 best guys in the team. They were guys that I think gave up some stats because that team was pretty deep. Isaiah especially. Isaiah gave up a bunch of numbers in the second half of his career because he was trying to get everybody involved. But they were a team that stemmed from the 2 guards. Dumars was the single best guy to guard Michael Jordan. And I think they're on whatever mountain this is. I think Parker and Ginobili have to be mentioned. 4 titles together, 5 finals. First title, they were both like babes. But by the time it gets into the 07 range, those guys were really great together. And then the only other one I had was Monroe and Frazier, where they had 1 title, 2 finals together. Both made first team All-NBAs at different times, but that was a situation where they were the 2 best guys on the team. They were both guards. So My point is there's been some great backcourts. There's been backcourts. Everybody we mentioned is a double Hall of Fame situation. Like all those guys are in basically except for Curry and Clay.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't remember if Parker and Ginobili are in yet, but they probably will be. But for me, if I had to rank them in the finals, it would be Curry and Clay and Kuzi and Sharman. And I know the 50s are different and it was a short league, but just like the fact that those guys were the all NBA first team guards for 4 years in a row says something. But I would have Curry and Clay one. The point is, if Luka and Kyrie win the title, now they're in the conversation. I'm not ready to have it yet, though. Let's see them close out Minnesota and let's see them win a title, and then we can talk about it. I think the interesting thing to me about the conversation in general is that Kyrie was a distressed asset a year ago, right? To the point where they gave up a first-round pick, and it's like, whoa, that's really risky. You know, they gave up one pick. Like when you look back, that trade seems like it was 30 cents on the dollar, but I thought it was a huge risk. What did you think when they did that trade?
I mean, I've never wavered in my appreciation for his talent, and I thought that I've always thought that I think he's the best below the rim finisher we've ever had. I think he's the best ball handler we've ever had. Like, he's just an insane talent. But you're right. I mean, at that point, it's just so amazing how the mouthwash of like the last couple months has just made us completely forget how bad it was. Like, nobody wanted to go near him. But I think this is sort of the ultimate sort of test of your philosophy. If you're going to be this team that like brings in these distressed assets and you bank on them, which is something Dallas did over and over and over again. You know, they brought in Christian Wood. They brought in, at the time, KP was a little distressed because of the injury stuff, but like this would be the ultimate version of that. At the time, yeah, I mean, I was a little curious about it, but they are just a really interesting pairing because I just think that they're like two sort of off-speed pitches against each other because, you know, and Kyrie has really dug in and accepted this role where, you know, Luka's like, all right, I'm the lead singer of this band and you're going to pick your solo. You know, you can solo at a couple spots during the game and you can get in there and sort of do your virtuosic thing. Like, I almost feel like Kyrie does this thing playing against Luka where it's so tiring to guard Luka, like we talked about at the top of the show, mentally tiring. That, like, I feel like Kyrie almost does the Ali Foreman thing where, like, you get to the end of the game and you think, okay, well, the fight's going a certain way. And Kyrie leans in and asks you if you're tired. And then he's like, all right, now it's time to dance. Like, he didn't quite do that tonight. But I just feel like he's done that so well. It's been really nice to see. It's just nice to see some just kind of quiet. I don't know that he personally has changed at all, like in terms of what he thinks or whatever it is, but he's or if it's strategic, you know, in terms of like his PR life, but it does seem like he just has more quiet in his life. And it's been nice to just kind of watch him play basketball.
Yeah, there's a serenity to him this year that I'm not sure he had in other years. He always seemed to like chaos. And when it got quiet, then there would be more chaos. But, you know, it's easy to forget this now, but in 21, before him and Harden got hurt, like this was similar. Like it was a happy basketball situation. They were playing well. So, you know, he kind of goes up and down, but lately it's been up.